the earth. My emphasis is on replenish. We have used be fruitful and multiply and subdue to destroy the environment. But I think we have largely forgotten replenish as well. And then we also know that the Lord God then took the man and settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. So it is our religious duty as well as Catholics to care for the environment. It was God's direct instruction to the human race to cultivate it and to care for it. So, yes, this is what we've done to the environment as we are. We all know the situation as it is in Ghana today. Bushfires, galamsey, name it, floods have ravished our environment in many different ways. What can we do is what we intend to look at going forward. Now, it is not very easy when to have an environmental discussion because apart from when you say it is ravishing the environment, another name that would be used is that it is development. A very common example is, let's use where I am, Legon. So we have this big, if you've been on the Legon campus, you can also see the beautiful trees that we have and the large forest area. So plans, others have been saying that, look, let's give it out to developers to build hostels. Because people, students, I'm sure you've heard about the accommodation issue on campus. People don't have accommodation. And we need money as a university. So if this land is sitting there, why don't we give it out to developers to develop? And so giving it out to developers was being considered. Another group said, what do you mean? This beautiful environment, you want to destroy it and put concrete there. We will not agree. So there were demonstrations. And they came to sit on the land to say that no work. When work was supposed to begin, other people showed up and said, no, we are protecting the environment. So the clash between development and protecting the environment is real. Now, looking at these two sides, whose side would you be on? The other side is saying that, look, students don't have accommodation. They need accommodation, and it's true. Students need accommodation. These people are saying that, look at this beautiful scenery. You just want to destroy that? No way. They do have a point, don't they? And then they cite climate change, don't they? So in a situation like this, what do you do? Let me know your thoughts. What would you do? People want places to stay and learn. We need more lecture rooms. We need more accommodation, development. We need development. Yes, Father. Okay, so we should agree on sharing. Thank you very much for that. Yes, sister. You know, it's interesting. This didn't come. It's been a very bitter fight within the stakeholders. But this actually didn't come up. It's just been everybody fighting that, no, don't do it. No, do it. Don't do it. Yes, sister. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Okay, so the option is to look at the old structures and see whether we can raise those ones up. Okay, thank you. Yes. Yes, before we now come to sister, yes, you in the middle, yes.
The world we are in now, I will go for my friend, the environment. Because accommodation in our modern world now, students can be home and still study. They don't need to be on campus and do the studies with technology now. So I will protect the environment and forfeit accommodation.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yes, sister.
Also think there can be a liaison with other could be an honest community so that the students could also go there and study and other stuff could be done there instead of uprooting this garden and building a new hostel.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, one last contribution.
I think the issue of everybody going to the big cities to study, do you think so that the number of people going up there will be limited?
Okay, so we consider alternative ways like decentralization so that everybody doesn't have to move to the main campus, and we are now struggling with accommodation. But you see the real problems in terms of the clash between the development and accommodation. In fact, there was even a time in connection with this church, there was a church service, a Catholic, we were having mass, and some hooligans just came to disrupt the mass. It was over this issue. Environment, hostels, fight as to what should happen. So it's real when we are talking about environment, and we are also talking about development. To a very large extent, the human race has felt or has largely seen that to some extent we need to somehow destroy certain aspects of the environment so that we can develop. But then we need to look at what is really development. What really is development? Is it development just the structures that we see, or development is something else? I always, there was, my friend and I were having an intellectual banter over Africa's independence and Ghana's independence, for example. And so the old issue of whether we should have waited a little bit before we became independent should have been the case. And so he cited South Africa. And his reason for citing South Africa was that because they didn't get their independence early, they are more developed than Ghana. And my response was, are you sure? And he said, worse. I said, look, if you are talking about development in South Africa and to what extent South Africa is developed, look at the black race. Compare the black race in South Africa to the black race in Ghana. And then tell me that the black race in South Africa is better off than the black Ghanaian. Then I would believe you. And when I said that, he himself was quick to say that no. If I'm looking at it in that angle, certainly the Ghanaian is way ahead. So it comes back to our conception of development. What is development? I'm sure at the time he was talking about development, he was looking at buildings, infrastructure. But there is more to development than that. I always cite the example, take this community for example. What is the use of having a very huge, let's say a hospital, for example, huge hospital here in the community with all kinds of amenities, everything else, but you can't access it? Is that development? So when it comes to development, I conceive development that if within the African context, I focus mainly on two factors. The value of the human capital. So it has to be the human being. And then, of course, access to the necessities of life in a manner that makes life easier, more comfortable, and sustainable. So it should revolve around the human being and the quality of the life of the human being. That is what is development. So that at the end of the day, if we erase all the trees to build fantastic infrastructure, and then as a result of that, there is climate change and there are floods. We grow food, we can't get good food to eat, we can't get nutrition. Have we developed or have we retrogressed? So we need to look at development. So for me, I conceive development to include an adequately trained, skilled, and specialized human capital who have access to the necessity of life, and progress that makes their life more comfortable and easier. And then the generality of the population, that the progress that makes life more comfortable and easier for the generality of the population. And then, of course, that it must be sustainable. Such a situation must be sustainable. If it is not sustainable, it cannot be development. That brings us back to the environment, which means that in our quest for development, we must also think of the environment. Because if it has to be sustainable, we cannot ignore the environment. So development would include conditions that enable the people in the society to exploit their own potential and talents, and with that, advance their own societies and achieve progress that makes their lives easier and more comfortable in a sustainable manner. And of course, the role of technology in development, therefore, has to do with how it makes life easier and more comfortable to the human capital in a sustainable manner. The emphasis is on sustainable. So, as the Holy Pope said, now we are faced with not two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis, which is both social and environmental. So we look at the social aspects together with the environmental, because that is how we are going to achieve sustainability. And so strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time, protecting nature. In short, environment has to be sustainable, and to be sustainable, it is linked with the environment. So I'm going to take a pause here so that we can have 3 groups. I'll continue after the group presentations. But the first group, this is the assignment here for the first group. Let's see how we are going to create the first groups first. I think we do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then all ones in one group. Yep. All twos, so that is, yeah. Would that work?
Yes, that's what we have.
Okay. So let's do that.
1, 2, 3. No. Okay. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Then we'll take questions. Then we'll take questions. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's very good. Then we'll mix them. And then we're going to do it and then we're going to invite it. All the dances. This condition. Right. On that one. So let me take the perspective.
Okay, so there is a second option that we go into the groups as we came. Those who are representing justice and peace, DDOs, and consecrated men and women. Okay. They say it will narrow. Even though we are thinking about perspective, you can bring it to bear, but they say they will prefer this, the 1, 2, 3 group. Yes.
The 1, 2, 3.
Okay, they are the 4. Future president.
we're thinking of these perspectives as well. That if we did it, that then at least we get perspectives from different sides. Okay, but if the majority want to bear in the 1, 2, 3, okay, okay. So for the group 1, the question is this: that God first created the heavens and the earth, as we know in Genesis 1:1, and God blessed them and said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." Then now the question is, what does it mean to replenish the earth? And then, of course, include ways in which we can replenish the earth. For group 2, the question is, what is your understanding of responsive leadership? So the intention here is not to take the official or academic definitions, but what you think, your perspective, what you think responsive leadership is, and what Catholics can do to ensure responsive leadership in our society so as to maintain the dignity of work, the dignity of labor, work, and the protection of the natural environment. That is for group 2. And for group 3, why? It looks longer, eh? Yes. The second bullet, no, the question is taken as a quotation from Pope Francis. And the quotation is that we were created with a vocation to work. The goal should not be that technological progress increasingly replace human work, for this would be detrimental to humanity. Work is a necessity, part of the meaning of life on this earth, a path to growth, human development, and personal fulfillment. Helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the face of pressing needs. The broader objective should always be to allow them a dignified life through work. So this was from Pope Francis. Now the question is twofolded in that what options are available to Catholics in the Ghanaian society to help realize this vision? This is a vision Pope Francis has. What options do we have in the Ghanaian society to help to realize this vision? That's one. And then 2, identify just one thing that this conference can take up after this conference to help to realize this vision, the vision that Pope Francis laid for us. Any questions on the questions? So the group leads after that will do the presentations.
Yes, so you want to ask a question? Okay, that's fine.
Please, you emphasize that development should focus on the human capital and to access necessity to life in a manner that makes life easier and sustainable. Life can become easier when the person also has shelter to occupy yourself. Let's make reference to the University of Ghana issue that you brought up. We have to strike a balance as to where we groom the people and also get a place for them to sleep. If we are shifting our focus to human capital and there isn't enough shelter for these people to occupy, which path are we charting for the future?
Now, when it comes to the human capital, now let me just come back before answering that. I want to take a phrase out of what Pope Francis said. I hope I'm not going too much now into the group 3 job. He says that helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the face of pressing needs. The admonition is that we mustn't aim at asking people not to work so that we provide for them. But when you equip them and they can work, they provide their own shelter. So the answer to the question you've asked, if the person has a good job, can they not build their own house? So the concentration then is, let's create an environment where the people can realize their own potential. So you build the skills of the person has skills, and there are opportunities for jobs. The person gets a job, they will do their own shelter. That is preferable to deciding that people should just be around and not work, whilst you then find a way of giving them shelter. It isn't that they shouldn't be without shelter. It is how the shelter comes by. Because the more the human capital is developed, the more the human capital is able to do for the human race. I don't know if that answers your question. Yes.
It's still not enough to understand. The question is, we in the process of giving these people the skills they needed for them to go and build their own shelter. The issue is that these people are not having the place for them to rest, to go through the training process. And practical example is that when we all came, we had a place to sleep. What happened if some of them were not getting a place to sleep? How are they going to come here to go through the training?
So specific to the Legon situation. Yes, that's why. So that is the argument for the people who want share. That's their whole argument. We've given people admission. We don't have spaces. This is land. We can give them spaces. You are saying trees. And that's literally what some of them, you are saying trees. Then the ones who did the demonstration and then they came shouted, trees are more important than human beings. That was their language. What do you mean? Because you people have got what you want, you are now sitting here talking about trees. We are talking about human beings. You are talking about trees. But the argument of those saying that, talking about the trees, was that it wasn't just about the beauty of the trees. It's also about the protection the tree gives to the environment. So they were saying that let's look at how to address that problem. It should not be an either-or situation. But we can, if we are going to look at an either-or situation, we may always destroy the environment in our urge to develop. But because we have to bear in mind that protection of the environment is actually also for our survival, we must be alive first before we can learn, not so. So if we are not alive, we can't even get admission in the first place. So part of the argument is that let's look at our survival first, which is linked to the environment. And so let's not cut down the trees because they provide some protection to the environment. That is the argument. I'm not saying they are right, but that is the argument. And then you also, of course, have the argument from the other side too, that says that we need places to lay our head. Your job and my job is to see how we can achieve both, not either or, but we can achieve both. We can attend to the fact that people get shelter, at the same time protecting the environment. That is our job, or that is what we want as an objective at the end of the day, that we can achieve development, but to be sustainable, we can't ignore the environment. Yes, there's a question at the, yes.
I'll give you the mic to somebody. I have the mic. Referencing from what you just said, those guys who trooped you where you were, and when they're saying that if baby had was somewhere to sleep in a mattress. Now, it gets to the core of the matter. I think environment is something we pay least attention to as a people. We don't seem to care that the environment is there, the trees are there. Why? There's something I think we have to do as a people. In Germany, a fly was disturbed and I wanted to kill it. Hey, stop that. I was shouted at, attempting to kill a fly that was trying to disturb me. It tells you how they are concerned by the environment, the ecosystem and all that. But plays a different game altogether. So I think that we may have to go down, beginning from our kids and those in basic school, let them appreciate the power of the environment, the ecology, how we protect it. Because once it is gone, we are gone. There was a KSO operator I was having a discussion. He said, "Oh, Father, me and that." He said, referring to the Etua forest. It can never get finished. Plenty. We will keep cutting. He had no idea or intention of stopping. When it was also get to the what you call the Galamsey and all that, and of course the sachet affair for the political side in the American embassy wrote to the bishop. The bishop referred to me that we have to meet them. And I must say there's a place in America, one of the states where he comes from. The environment was destroyed about 100 years ago, and it hasn't been the same again. So he's feared that if we don't take the next steps today, the price we are likely to pay will be huge. Even they are struggling to, renew that environment that was destroyed because of Galamsey. Today we are busy doing that. Nobody wants to tell us we are not ready, and people don't seem to get it. This is my situation, man. Bishop had been to certain places. Bishop Prefer, and he'd been very angry. He'd been very down to the people. He tried to talk to the chiefs. They don't seem to understand. And people are like, oh, we have to get the money. We have to do this. And if you want to, as it were, put more thought to what you are doing, put more situation, you become an enemy. So I think it is a very difficult, and the people who are fronting this whole thing are powerful people. But I am very happy today. I've been taught by you that any law that is not compliant with natural law should not be complied with. It's not compliant. It will only comply to what it is in consonant with natural law. So it means that probably we may have to go beyond just doing this talking, because we are very stubborn. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll all pay the price that we're not ready to pay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But to just add just briefly to the environment issue, it's so you can see what we were faced with. I was on the committee that was set up to handle that Legon issue, the fighting between the two factions. And in fact, some of even some of the staff, the lecturers, the professors, including a Catholic priest who spoke for the protection of the environment, received letters of threats. They threatened them. And we know where you live. You are the one who doesn't want us to get accommodation to lay our head. We know where you live. Because people really, the issue of accommodation is so dear to their hearts that they just can't tolerate any idea that anybody is saying that tree. That's how they interpret it. That anybody is saying tree. We are talking about, you are saying tree. But they were not saying tree. They were saying, look at the long-term effects, like we're saying, floods. We all know the floods, when they come, people lose their lives. So let's look at survival and sustainability. In addition to it, we're not saying put it aside, but how can we achieve both for the human race? Yes, there was a question at the, yes.
Yes, my question has to do with labor. In the second and third industrial revolution, there was very high employment of people. Now we have moved into the fourth and getting into the fifth industrial revolution, where AI seems to be taking over. This has necessitated that some industries are laying off workers, threatening labor. How do we sustain labor so that the loss of jobs can be minimized? Thank you.
You are giving the facilitator more work to do. She facilitates. She facilitates. All these questions are beautiful. It's for discussions. Come out with ideas and so on. Don't put it to her. She's not in the witness box.
You are talking as a lawyer. This time we don't put it, we suggest.
But what Father said is true in the sense that we have group presentations to make. If we don't want to exhaust everything now, and then we won't have much to come to, so we will still take questions. So unless the questions are on clarification of the group work. So, but after the group presentations, I will still have my concluding thoughts, and then we will take questions for points of discussions after all of that. Yes.
Thank you. I was trying to give a summation on the case of Legon. For now, in the short term, I think they need accommodation. But in the long term, Legon should consider this direct contacts and indirect contacts. You have the case where the student reports go through matriculation. The student goes back home, stay, and they will go through the computerized way of learning. We have what we call, you sit in the house, and the lecturer is talking, and you look through your phone and learn. that will ease the pressure on students clamoring to be on campus. And besides that, somebody also said, let us get education. People feel socialization is found in the university. And for that matter, everybody wants to be in the university and socialize. That thing is important, but it's equally important once you meet once in a blue moon, you can socialize and go back to your homes, stay and learn. That will ease the problem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's not exhaust what is supposed to be for the group presentations in this session. Let's try and save some for the group presentations.
So thank you. Yeah, we'll get the questions when we finish. So there should be somebody to moderate. There should be a secretary to record. At least when you meet, just choose somebody who can moderate. Then the secretary that will do the recording, and then we'll come back. Group 1 will be here. If the room is big enough for you, group 1 can be here, group 2 can be at the other end. And then group 3 will go to the dining hall. If not, group 2 can take the seats out. There's an open space here. Then you can sit around here and also have your discussions. But before we go to our various groups for such discussions, we are going straight to the entrance of the reception to take a group photograph. Thank you very much. So we move.
Thank you. environment. That means the major point here is about, we're looking at, in fact, how it meant more about replenished, to refill, to restore. What exactly does it mean in connection with the health? And health here does not only limit to humanity, but the ecosystem. That the ecosystem, talking about how in a geographic area where the crops and animals, that is plant and animals, the organisms, the landscape and the weather living together in a bubble lifestyle. So our deliberation must definitely go alongside with these areas. So the healthy environment here has to do with the land, the human being, the living thing, all together factor into a healthy environment. So let us try to delve into the deliberation. Let's see areas that we think it will mean we can best answer the question given us.
So the first thing would be the definition of the drainage, maybe full definition. Encyclopedia version or VS version. So you have to classify, because this drainage, if you take encyclopedia, it will mean a different thing. You take another one, it will mean different thing. So let's see, what is the real meaning or what we are looking for this word, drainage? The definition.
Alice, to restore, to refill, Alice, to replenish the lost energy. That's why when you have a sleep, you are going to replenishing your what? The lost energy. So we talk about the giving a detailed definition. I don't know how best we can go into that. So can we
I think we can come out with some words that resonate with the word replenish. And since, as she herself said, we are not writing academic paper. We want to present something that will show what our understanding of what we have been discussing is about. So I think we could come out with some of the things you already saying. Yes. The words that are nearest the meaning or reflect the replenish. Somebody can say regenerate. This is one.
So please, let's project, because the night we are one. Our discussion is like, so we can speak about it.
Okay, then what we're seeing here, what I've just gotten from the Gallup, they're saying that fill something up again. Okay, he replenished Justin's glass with what? Mineral water. So refill up. In other words, a similar to refill, fill up, recharge, restore. To restore something has been lost, to restore it. These are some of the similar kind of ways that we can talk about in terms of replenish.
I also say to replace.
Replace, of course.
We're looking at the context of what we're restoring is the right word to use. Looking at the context, looking at the environment, then we are restoring.
Communicating a point that you want, if it is a change or whatever it is.
Like what Father said,
this
really must.
Yes, I should continue asking that.
It's also following
follow up. Okay.
Follow up to see whether what has been said or what you want to be done is exactly what.
I just wanted to say for feedback.
Okay. I think that you've said enough about it. So now let's look at the second bit. I think that is what will engage us.
Now, we've gotten synonyms, of that of the word replenished. Now we'll go into replenishing. What are we replenishing? We are replenishing the earth. The earth. And what has it got to do with replenishing? What happened before we now go to replenishing? Now look into areas that we think maybe they are actually not helpful, and that probably cause the need to replenish. That's when we look at the area that probably might have hindered the excess of this kind of the earth.
So the area I come from, our major things that we need to replenish, we get replacing the trees that we cut. So exactly that is what they are starting to do by planting trees to the near desert areas and even our homes. So the parish I come from, St. Joseph's Parish, we have the Gcbc itself has a garden. And we call it St. Peace Garden, where we have planted a number of trees, and then we are watering them. And our main aim is that from there we can let the church, some of the members, see the importance of this tree planting. So our main thing is tree planting. And what the strategy we are using is we are using a youth to go in there to water the trees that we plant. So we are almost like trying to educate into their minds the importance of tree planting. This essentially the youth had a health walk. And what just is that we engage them and we give them before their takeoff, we give them a talk on the importance of the environment. And then we keep on telling them how to, especially the rubber bags, how to dispose of them. We even had a program where these water sachets, we have somebody who train them how to use them for school bags and then use them for all things so that they will invest their energies there. So these are some of the things we are doing to replenish the environment. Our area is just trees. We don't have, especially our parish area, we don't have much of the Lsap. But I'm not saying that it is not there, but where we live, that's what we are doing.
Okay, just a minute. Before we talk, we try to, introduce ourselves where you are coming
Oh,
from.
okay.
And because it's important
Yes,
for us to know
that's
each other as we are here now.
My name, I'm Actina Francis, with Justice and Peace. I come from the Programe border, but specifically fellowship at St. Joseph Parish, that is Border School.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Reverend Oswald Banfo, Divine Word Missionaries. We talk about justice and peace as JPIC, justice, peace, and integrity of creation. It means we are integral with creation, and that is where now we are looking at how the environment is what is affected. And when you talk about that, you realize that even little things we do, like right now, people think that they are farming, they use this weedicide. The weedicide is causing a lot of damages to the environment because all the ants, all the snails, all the butterflies, they are all being killed. All the bees are being killed. Gone are the days you see bees flying around. Now you can't see them again. You can't see a heap of bees flying. You can't see butterflies. Very rare will you see butterflies around mangoes or around trees that are flowering. You don't see them. You don't see butterflies. And these are all things that we are causing to ourselves. So if we want to have a healthy environment, talking of a healthy environment, these are things we need to look at. Can we just say because of any small energy we use to weed, we just use a weedicide to spray, kill all these things, and be surviving, and we are thinking that we are okay, but we're killing all these things, then you see that the ground is becoming harder and harder and harder. There's no more loose for the crops to grow. So these are some of the things we have to look at and see how best can we stop this weedicide. Is it possible to stop the weedicide? These are the small things we in our parishes, in our communities, we can do. Instead of more or less going to talk about the Galamsey people and other things, we are all contributing to destroying the environment that we are living in. So that's what I want to say. If we can encourage our community members, ourselves, and our parishioners or students around to see how best we can collect, we can prevent this weedicide, spraying the grass in order to farm and other things. Before we can then go ahead to talk about the effect of the Lsap and the effect of tree cutting and other, a lot of things are happening that is destroying, that's affecting the environment.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm James Aoumi from the Kofoda Diocese. So I think that the question we're given was a twofold, and we need to be direct, but we don't have the luxury of time. If we want to just to allow the conversation to flow, we would lose the real process. So now we've been able to deal with what replenishes. They're asking us how do we replenish? So let's go into that. And I also want us to look at it from 3 different perspectives. It is the earth we are talking about. So let us not only concentrate on just the earth. I think we should look at the sky, the earth, and relate it. How do we replenish some of these things? I think my brother has spoken about butterflies and other things. How do we replenish them? And the issue of the effect of weedicide. So the question should be based on how, so that we can document the house, and then when we have luxury of time, we can delve into the other areas. Okay. So I would also want us to look at the effect of weedicide. How are we able to make other suggestions that will replace weedicides? Because at the end of the day, we are all buying into that idea of spraying, and we are doing less weeding. But if we admit that weedicide is affecting the earth, what is the solution? What else can we use to replace weedicide? At the end of the day, it looks like every farmer now is going for weedicide, and we are losing the sight of the fact that it is affecting Mother Earth. So for me, what suggestions can we bring on board? Are we going back to the Orthodox way?
It touches on the environment, labor, human dignity, and all those stuff. Possibly.
Yeah. I think that's a very important thing.
Taking back the schools, the President of the Conference spoke a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't spare the government for paying lip service to even what we used to have. It's been denied. Our government certain committees have been taken away. So there's a sinister attitude where I plan to take the churches, our hands off the issue. So this is the reality on the ground now. When we look at CHAC, this association, Health Association of Ghana, the government pays the workers, but we regulate to manage the system. So that's what the promise, for instance, the president gave to the Christian community, in fact the religious community, that what we do same for the educational sector. But now they are rather taking the lead that we had. They are even denying us of that. This is this state and church partnership, and their struggles have been of years. This is where we are now. Eventually, everyone will take their children to the what they call the religious schools, the good schools. If not to mention the first 9 or 10 schools in Ghana, about 8 of them will be religious. Yes, talk about those the what they call the treasure boys, Pesek. Talk about St. Roses. Talk about St. James now. Probably the best in the country. These are all religious. They won't take their children there. My question is that we give them power to be our leaders. And if they are taking a path that will fail that, it will not immute them. They have every right to resist them. I mean, it's not trying to be political or political, but the president think that, I'm fine. Tomorrow, I feel that we are spending so much in having built the decision of building the human capital. But the very people who are supposed to help us build some of this things are fighting against the benefit that they benefited from. It's becoming a serious challenge that we have now. So we will have to go beyond the speaking, but sometimes take measures. When I was in Koko, there was a time that a teacher misbehaved towards me. I had gone to the director to report. And he said, "It's to mess me up." For me, I think it's no problem. And like in Koko, we have more schools in the town, even than the government. So someday I told them, I'll look the whole schools. Let the government take their children and the teachers away. But these schools are no way to do that. the land grazing on it. Then immediately after second mass, the MCE and the Colonel were there, and we are making use of our job. It is happening. So how come even the letter had told me I should relocate the church and the mission because it become a school area. So I told him, you cannot tell the Imam to relocate the mosque because of the school.
Conservation, agriculture, and the use of plant-based products to control these pests. The animal will add to the sustainable agriculture. The sustainable agriculture is looking at production in a way that the environment will keep on supporting production for a period of time. And conservation agriculture looking at doing the production while maintaining the ecosystem in the environment, maintaining the natural habitat of the things that are there whilst you're doing agriculture.
So the problem now is the use of agrochemicals.
Yeah.
That's the general issue, and the solutions will come.
And let's also add that we are going to do this through advocacy.
Through education.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to also make a contribution of comfort from Tamale Archdiocese.
Yeah, so my contribution is that another thing that is harming the environment is the waste we generate. I think you mentioned something like, especially the water tanks. Yes. We need an attitudinal change so that we go back to our old times where some of the things were being wrapped in leaves and with papers. So
we need that right from the beginning in our at the junior level for the children to begin to demystify the use of some of these rubbers. We generate a lot. I come from Upper East, from a village. I mean, before you get to Fumbisi, and those days, hardly will you find polythene on the environment. Anytime I visited home, now I get home and because of occasions, naming ceremonies and whatnot, every